Good afternoon. The time is after 2 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome you to the Health, Education, and Welfare Subcommittee meeting. At this time, I will ask Representative Gouge if he will do our invocation.
Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for putting us together to go over the tribe's business, what's best for the members of this tribe, and watch over us, take care of us, give us the wisdom to make the right decision. You say, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Representative Gouge. Roll call by Legislative Clerk April Lindsay.
Mary Crawford. Alega. Joyce Steer.
Yalega.
Leonard Gouge.
Here.
Robert Huff.
Present.
Anna Marshall.
Present.
Madam Chair, you got 5 present and 0 absent.
5 present and 0 absent constitutes a quorum. All business conducted will be official. We're down to approval of minutes. We have the minutes of December 7th, 2022, November 29th, 2022, which are budget hearings, November 30th, 2022, which is a budget hearing, and December 6th, 2022, which is a budget hearing. I will entertain a motion when the committee
Madam
is
Chair.
ready. Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of December the 7th, November 30th, and December the 6th with any necessary changes.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Representative Marshall
Second.
to approve the minutes, and second by Representative Huff. Roll call vote, please.
Anna Marshall.
Yes.
Leonard Gouge.
Yes.
Robert Huff. Mary Crawford.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. The minutes are passed. Order of business, TR 23-009, a tribal resolution of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a provider participation agreement with United Healthcare Insurance Company for the benefit of the Muskogee Creek Nation Department of Health. Sponsor Robert Huff.
A motion to pass.
We have a motion for due pass by Representative Huff. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Gouge. Discussion. Mr. Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee. United Healthcare is one of the large national insurance companies, and what this agreement is going to do is going to allow for the Muskogee Creek Nation of Department of Health physicians and providers to be automatically credentialed with United so that we can bill United insurance plan. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there questions from the committee for Mr. Terry? Are there questions from any council in attendance or online? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Mary Crawford.
Yes.
Anna Marshall.
Yes.
Leonard Gouge.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. TR 22-23-009 is passed. TR 23-010, a tribal resolution of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a master subscription agreement and data processing addendum with Brightly Software for the benefit of the Muskogee Creek Nation Department of Health. Sponsor Robert Huff.
Motion to pass.
We have a motion for a due pass from Representative Huff.
Second.
And a second by Representative Gouge. Discussion, please. Mr. Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Brightly software is an upgrade to our current tracking system in our biomedical and facilities program. This software helps us track work orders, assets, inventory, safety rounding, project management, and it just pulls it all together and is an upgrade to what we have. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee? Are there any questions from council in attendance or online? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Mary Crawford,
Yes.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouch.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. TR 23-010 is passed. TR 23-011, a tribal resolution of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute an order form and master agreement with Maven Clinic Company for the benefit of the Muskogee Creek Nation Department of Health. Sponsor Mary Crawford.
Motion for due pass?
We have a motion for due pass from Representative Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Representative Huff. Discussion, please. Mr. Terry.
Mr. Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This Maven contract, you've heard me mention in the past that our infant mortality rates were some of the highest in the country. We're even bad compared to the state of Oklahoma. We were losing creek babies at almost 40% higher than what the non-native population inside of our 11 counties are. This master agreement is going to provide digital maternity care for our citizens that live throughout the reservation, and they will be able to go on 24/7 and get counseling services and consulting services. And so that way, if we have a young mother, a young pregnant lady, and they want to know if this is, am I feeling right? Is this normal? I don't want to go to the doctor. I can't go to the doctor. They can call and get these services right there over their mobile phone. And so we really hope this is going to increase our young Creek mothers to be able to have access to that prenatal care. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Terry from the committee?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Representative Gouge.
How long would that take, if it's passed and everything gets started, how long would it take that for it to be implemented?
I think I don't think it's a difficult process. I think that we've already gone through the contracting analysis. So my guess would be probably a couple of months, because they're going to have to build access into our Epic system once we grant them this access, if this passes. And so that usually takes a couple of months to do all of the integration into the electronic health record.
Good, so it's about the middle of the year, not something we've got to look forward to for next year. It's this year.
I think just a matter of a month or two, couple of months.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative Gouge. Are there any other questions from the committee? Hearing none, are there questions from the council in attendance or online? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mary Crawford,
Yes.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouch,
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. TR 23-011 is passed. TR 23-012, a tribal resolution of the Muskogee Creek Nation approving the early in-person voting sites for the 2023 election cycle. Sponsor Anna Marshall.
Motion for due pass.
We have a motion for due pass from Representative Marshall. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Representative Crawford. Discussion.
This is basically just a legislation for just approving the early in-person voting sites, and they're Eufaula, Tulsa, Okemah, and Okmulgee. And I don't know if there's anyone here from the election board that might want to say more. Sarah, would you like to say any more? Ms.
Sure, thank you. As far as I understand, these are very standard sites for early voting. They're placed in locations where we believe will have the best turnout and be most convenient for those that want to participate in early voting.
Ms. Barnett, are those the same locations that were used last year for the last election?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. Are there other questions from the committee? Mr. Harjo or Nelson Harjo, do you have anything to say? Wanted to say?
No, I'll just reiterate what Ms. Barnett had to say, that these are the same four early voting locations that we have used since the introduction of early voting. So we're looking to stay consistent with that, so that way our general population of voters know that they can count on those places being as early voting locations each and every election.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee? Questions from council in attendance or online? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouch,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Mary Crawford.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. TR 23-012 is passed. NCA 23-002, a law of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, fiscal year recovery funds for the purchase and creation of a Muskogee language video game. Sponsor Galen Cloud.
Motion to pass.
We have a motion for a due pass from Representative Huft. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Representative Gouge. Discussion.
Dr. Randall?
Dr. Randall, would you come forward, please? You have the microphone.
HJ Kamagadi. This is for the Muskogee language video game. We had that on about a year ago through legislation approved to create a demo from Sound Puzzle. And so we do have some representatives from Sound Puzzle here today. But we went for that demo, and we presented that at the Muskogee Language Symposium over the summer. And we demoed that video game on the big screen, and then we also had a system set up so that way we could demo it live. And so we had some children over there, and they were really engaging with that demo. So that was about 1% of the game development that we saw over the summer. And so this is just part of a overall revitalization plan. So we're working to create that plan that will include a lot of different methodologies for revitalizing our language. So this is just one aspect of how we're going to engage our youth, how we're going to engage our people, and looking at some new methods. We gotta start looking at new methods on how we're teaching our language, how we're learning our language. What we've been doing in the past hasn't been working. I mean, we gotta understand that. We gotta take a hard look at ourselves. And I'm not blaming anyone, any teacher, any method, any curriculum, because we have a language certificate program at the college, and we're taking a hard look at that too. And I understand we're included in that whenever I say what we're doing isn't working, hasn't been working. And so if we're really gonna make this effort to save our language, we got to start looking outside of the box. We got to start looking at how are we going to engage our people, and how our language is transmitted. And so intergenerationally, we got to reach our kids. Our population of first language speakers, as we know, is an older population, and everybody sitting in this auditorium right now, except for the first language speakers, if you were to learn the language, you'd be learning it as a second language speaker. And we're not producing any first language speakers. And so that's what we need to start looking at. We need to start looking at all of these areas and really target the children and what has captivated their attention, and it's these things, right? This is what has captivated the attention of our youth. And if we can get our language into those systems, then that's what we're looking at.
Okay, are there other questions from Dr. Randall? I'm sorry.
I'm sure.
Yes.
I don't have a question. I just want to say I 100% support this. I commend for Dr. Randall putting forth an effort to do this for our language program. It's like it starts with the kids at this point in time. So I appreciate you very much for doing this. So,
Any other questions or comments? Representative Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a few questions. I was at the language symposium when it was introduced, and I understand that with the younger generation that we have to look at new ways of teaching. Did you explore? Is this this sound puzzle or whatever it's called, or the company that does this? Are they the only sole source that does this?
That develops,
or is there other companies
not
out
that
there?
develops video games, but that develops a video game specifically tailored to our language. Yes,
language?
that does not exist.
Okay. And so have we used this company before
No.
for any other thing?
No.
Okay. Okay. And I guess one of the other questions that I have, my phone has blown up over the last 2 days from citizens, and their concern is about the amount of money, the 3.7 million. And even though it comes from ARPA funds, that's the biggest concern that they have.
Yes.
And their concern is about the cost of living, about how much it's increased through groceries, fuel, and things like that. And of course, our tribal energy as well, our electric and our gas. So is there an alternative? Is there a possibility of an alternative that we can do these in stages, or is it all at that 3.7 million one lump sum?
So I think the contract is for it to be paid out in stages, but we're looking at, if we start right now, we're at about 12 to 18 months of development on a video game. So we've already invested 22,000 at 1% of the development. So, and then that's actually less than 1%, now that it's at 3.7. So we could, I mean, we can do just about anything really. It's how fast do we want to put this into our hands of our people? So how much time do we have on our language? How many first language speakers do we have left? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. How much time do we have left on that?
Okay. So when we do this, if it's approved and we move forward, is this going to be in the schools? Is it going to be sent home with the kids? Because sometimes, even if the kids learn the language, if it's not practiced at home with other fluent speakers, some of that's kind of lost.
It'll be on all major platforms. It'll be on cell phones, tablets, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. It'll be on all the major platforms. So then that'll be up to us to decide on how it gets sent out. Is it and I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but I mean, my recommendation would be that everybody gets it. Everybody who's a Muskogee Creek citizen gets a code to access this. I mean, we could sell it. I mean, it's, I mean, it'd be just like any other video game that's out there. You can charge a fee to download it or whatever it is, and definitely you're gonna make your money back if you want to charge for it. But I would say it's accessible to everybody. But that's just my opinion on it.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Randall. Thank you, Speaker. Madam Chair.
Representative Gouge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't attend the symposium, so I didn't see it. But Quality, is it, for lack of words, is it Donkey Kong quality or is it Avatar quality?
It's quality. They've got some quality developers on there. If you want to, Ken, if you want to come down and talk about the quality of it, I mean, as soon as they turned it on, they had a line of kids over there waiting to play it. So, I mean, that's the proof's in the pudding on that side of it. They've got some top developers on it. I mean, it's competes with the video games that are on the market. But Ken, if you want to.
Sure. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Our two main developers that we have are what's considered part of the grandfather class of video game development. So they've been in video game development since right after, say, Atari or Nintendo started. They've been doing that type of stuff for this long. So what they've done is they've progressed through the years, and if you have any young people in your family that have played like Legend of Zelda or the Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is like the newest one that's out, fully immersive 3D world that's open. They can walk anywhere in the world and interact with everything that's around them. That's the quality that we're doing. It's the same things that are being put out still right now. There's when you put it's like different movies, it'd be the quality of like the new movie Avatar that is out. Like that's the quality of the graphics that we're using for this game. So it is very. You see single strands of hair flowing in the wind. There's feathers, waters rippling, reflections everywhere. It's very, very high end graphics. So does that answer?
And how interactive is it?
So in the demo that we did, which was a very small chunk of what we're doing, what we're designing it is so that the character can be controlled, and if they walk past a tree or any specific animal or another person or a building or some sort of crop or something that you would just normally find in the wild, the game allows them to have different settings. They can turn it on or off to where it audibly says what it is when they walk past it. So if they walk past a tree, say the Muskogee language word for tree as they walk past, or they can turn the setting to where it doesn't audibly say it at first, but it will pop it up on the screen so they can read it. And then we can change those levels. They can change the settings to where it's both written and audible, or just audible, and it kind of allows them to just be able to remember. Because when you're learning, especially a language, reading it and hearing it at the same time is like kind of a double interaction. So we're trying to engage that type of learning as much as possible for the full kind of involvement of the player.
And is there's different stages? Because I guess what gets to me is it's a game, and a young person is just trying to reach the next level instead of trying to learn something.
Yes.
Is there levels to this thing?
Yep. So we're trying to kind of mimic the learning path of the college's language certificate program. So based off of what that first chunk of learning that they do, the syllabus, there's like kind of goes through stages of what they would learn in the class. So we kind of are trying to mirror that a little bit in the game. So to get to the next level, they have to have learned something. They have to have and utilize what they've learned to finish a puzzle that allows them into the next level or the next section of the world. So it'd basically be kind of like the world itself is huge, and then there's sections of the world that are kind of locked off until they learn how to access that section. And to do that, they have to learn kind of simultaneously what someone would be learning from the syllabus from the college. So if it's like numbers and letters, or if it's like shapes, colors, animals, food, greetings, stuff like that, is all going to come into play, but in a natural way, not like a forced way. Yeah.
So there's also a methodology that we're exploring too in this, and it's called gamification. And what it is taking that method of teaching and learning and putting it through whatever the information is you're wanting to teach and learn. So that's part of what this is about too. And it's about bringing this method of teaching called gamification. So you get a lot of quick response time on feedback on how well you're doing. You know, the repetition, the instant success, you know, those things. So if you think back to playing a video game, you know, I think back to Mario Brothers and how I would stay up for days trying to memorize the buttons that I needed to push and then the sequence that I needed to achieve to get to the next goal. And I basically just memorized those things to the point where I was staying up and doing it, and then I would achieve it, and then I'd, you know, in your mind, you know, you hit those, you know, you hit those synapses in your brain. They fire off whenever you succeed, and it gives you that feeling of success and joy, and that's what keeps you playing that game. And then, you know, now you're challenged and you want to come back and play that. And so, you know, they're, you know, at younger ages, they're just trying to get to the next level, but in doing so, they're memorizing and essentially learning our language. So they're playing those games anyway. And that's the thing about it is our kids are playing games anyway. Why not put our language in there?
I support the intent of trying to promote and preserve the language, but I still would like to see it. Is there a way you could set that up for a demo? Because I don't know if anybody on the committee here has seen this yet.
I've seen it.
You seen it? Have you typed it?
They had it on Zoom when they're at the podium, so I saw it on the Zoom side.
But I do understand what Ann was saying, but a person is going to need those basic needs every day. But for the language, we're talking about a lifetime here, a preservation of who we are.
Revitalization. We're talking about revitalization.
But it is a lot of money, but I still am for trying to promote and revitalize the language, but I would still like to see it. I'm not sure how we can do that, or postpone it for a day or something.
Sure, would it be possible to show this at the planning session?
When can we show it to them?
Should be next Tuesday.
I mean, I have the ability to show. I could show you the demo. I don't have the game controller with me, but I could show you a demo. I mean, within 30 minutes if we had something to plug it into. It wouldn't be a PlayStation. I mean, it's on a computer because it's still in development. But like, I can run the demo and show you what it looks like, the graphics and kind of the game mechanics of what it looks like. It's a very quick thing to do. So
maybe do a planning session that way everybody can see it who hasn't seen it. Bonnie, Madam Chair.
Yes, that'll work.
The 24th, if will boys.
Planning session?
Yes, do a demonstration.
Oh, yeah.
We still have a question from Representative Crawford.
I was just wondering how hard it was for you to translate that into our language because, and the reason I ask is I've talked to some of the government agencies. It doesn't have anything to do with this, but they do not have our language in their offices and they can't get it because it's difficult for them or they haven't found a way to translate our language to our citizens. So I was just wondering how hard it was for you to do that.
We just got some fluent speakers and recorded them.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and then and that's basically what we're going to do is find those speakers, and so in that sense, preservation is, we record it or we video it or we capture it. So in a sense, this will be a preservation tool in that way. But then whenever you engage with it, then we're looking at revitalization of it. So basically, we're going to record people and get their voice in there, and so you'll hear some live speakers, and that's what was presented was in that video game demo.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
A question along those lines. The speakers are going to be fluent speakers from throughout the nation and not
Yes.
from your language program?
From the nation, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Yes,
Representative Huft.
Madam Chair.
Just 1 second. Robert Huft has the floor.
Yeah, I understand what Ann's saying about, the citizens are, having a hard time with cost of living. These ARPA funds, we're only allowed for certain things, so it wasn't, to help the citizens in cost of living. That wasn't one of the criteria of the ARPA money. And, we had to have the ARPA money allocated by end of December, or we had to turn it back to the tribe. And so, at this point in time, it's not been expended. It doesn't come out of the tribal funds at all, and I know the citizens are having a hard time. There's other ways that we can do it, but the ARPA money cannot be used for any other thing than what's the criteria that's what the government laid out. And this is one of the items that we can find to use the money that would actually help the citizens as a whole for the language program. Thank you.
We have a question from Representative Nelson Harjo online. Go ahead, Mr. Harjo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Uh, just looking at this game and everything that you have now, my question is, now is it going to have the capability for online connectivity so that they can play other people like they do video games now, outside of their house, connect with other people in another town or wherever?
Yes, we can. I mean, it can. I mean, and that's the thing about it. That kind of speaks to Representative Marshall's question about, have we searched for anybody, and it's one of a kind, but video game development is so that we can make it whatever we want. If we want it to be connect everyone in the nation who's playing it, then yes, we can do that if we want it. If we want it to be strictly just that first person player where you're going around by yourself and playing it and learning it by yourself, then you can do that too. So it's the answer to that is yes, we can make it however we want.
I think that would really be good because there again, now all of a sudden we got our kids talking throughout the reservation or maybe out in California or wherever. And so when they finally get to meet within, each other at different events that we may have, well, then that's going to be pretty cool because now are they going to speak the language to each other? And that's where we're going to see everything happen. I can understand them engaging in the game, but the next thing is, will they be saying those things to each other? And so that's the thing that I think that's where the proof in the pudding will be at that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Harjo. Are there other questions from the committee? Are there questions from the council in attendance or online? We have a question from Kyle Haskin.
I really just had a quick question for Dr. Randall. Does somebody in the AG's office go through the contract?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Haskin, could you speak into the microphone, please? We can't hear you.
I apologize. I was asking Dr. Randall if someone in the AG's office had vetted through the contract, because it does have waivers of sovereignty, and whether the AG's office had tried to negotiate some of the terms.
Yes, it's been approved by the AG's office.
Very good. I just don't get to see the memorandums any longer.
Okay.
So, but thank you for that. We would need a TR. We would need a clean copy of the agreement. There's a bracket with regard to the choice of law provision to insert the choice of law. I know it's going to be referring to the laws of the state of Oklahoma, but we would need a clean copy of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Representative Huft. Mr. Huft has asked to be a co-sponsor. He's not here to ask. Who's the sponsor? Here?
Yeah, he's over there.
Oh, Representative Cloud, is that okay with you if Representative Huft is a sponsor, co-sponsor? Representative Randolph?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. I just like to say, during the symposium, I went and looked at the demo, and I've been watching like the progress with our language. And in a former administration, they wanted to do Rosetta Stone. I think it was going to cost $4 million then. And they looked at it and they said, "Well, that's too much money." But that was before the pandemic. And afterwards, I was thinking because what they were going to do was they were going to interview our speakers. They were going to get our speakers on tape, and then all the speakers we lost during the pandemic. I thought we missed that window of opportunity. We'll never get that chance back to have those speakers that we had before. And so the speakers that we have left, and one of the things that when I was looking at this, and I sat with the folks up here, and they entertained any questions we had. They were very good about showing us how it worked. And what I was visualizing is like a lot of times when young people are playing games, they want people to play with them. They want you to be involved with what they're doing. And I think it would create conversation among the family. And different language programs that I've read about, it's always talking about how you got to engage the family. There's got to be some type of engagement. We can go and we can teach somebody words or phrases, but if they go home and there's no one to speak to or engage, it's not going to stick. They're going to lose it somewhere down the line. And so I would just say, it's very innovative. I think it's very creative. And it reminds me of you hear all these little kids that can talk Japanese, they can say Japanese words and even, Spanish words. And they used to just have cards. You remember those, what were they called, those cards?
Flashcards.
Pokemon. And they knew all these big, huge names of all these, Japanese folks, and they could pronounce them. And I just think it's something that could be helpful. I know it may look like a lot of money, but there's really no price tag in our language, and I hope we just think about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Randolph. I'm sorry. Are there any other questions?
Madam Chair, I got one other question.
Yes, Representative Gouge.
Is it going to include the church grounds and the ceremonial grounds in this program?
Again, we can put whatever we want in there, and we can exclude whatever we want in there as well. You know, it's a video game, so it has to have some sort of entertainment value and enjoyment in it. I think some of the first things whenever we first started talking about this with Sound Puzzle, and I started talking to him about it, and I told him I wasn't sure about it, to be honest with you, and I told him I remember telling Ken and Dan, I said we're going to be tough. I said this is going to be tough to get this approved because one, we love our language and our culture, and we're very protective of that. And you know, one things I told them, I said, you know, we want it to be educational, but we can't be playing video games about the Trail of Tears or ceremonial ways. And so then they brought this storyline to me, and it's about a robot. And I first thought of it, and I was like, no way. It can't be this. And then I started reading the storyline, and I started seeing it, and then I started thinking, you know, it has to be something engaging, you know, for these kids to be able to want to play it, and adults too, for some. So this is what they do. They create storylines, and they build video games, and they make it fun. And that's what they've created. That's what they have for us. And so we can exclude all of the ceremony. We can exclude all of the things and we have complete control over that. At the end of the day, whether we buy this or not, the language that's in there right now in that 1%, that's ours. That culture that's in there, that's ours. The indigenous knowledge, that's ours. It'll always be ours. And whether it gets 1% or goes on to 100%, that's always going to be ours. That's always going to be our indigenous knowledge. And that's in that contract. That's in the contract. And we talked about it. We sat there, we talked about it. We made sure that they understood that, and they do. So it can be whatever we want in there, but I would say we shouldn't put those things in there. We shouldn't, it's good, and at the end of the day, we teach soft key making over at the college in person, but who wants to play a video game about making soft key, right? It's got to be fun.
That's what I was wondering.
And that's what they're going to build for us. They're going to build this fun, engaging game for us, and we're going to put whatever it is that we want. And we're going to exclude anything that we.
That's exactly what I was wanting to find out. Thank you.
Are the speakers that you asked to translate some of the words, are they supportive of it? Or have they said one way or another?
We actually, the ones that we contacted, yes, they were from the college. Now, whenever we do this, so that was just 1%. Now, whenever we go and if it's approved, then we're going to have to do a lot of research, and we're going to have to find those speakers, and that's put in that contract that they're going to get paid. They're going to be compensated for it, and then they're going to know also that we have complete control over it. So we're only at 1% of it, so we haven't even really got to that portion of finding all those speakers and recording any speakers.
Mm-hmm. Representative Gouge, do you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just really quick, I'd just like to say when Dr. Randall came to me about this game, I was also in his shoes. I was skeptical about it, and then when I met these folks up here with the Sound Puzzle Incorporation, I met with them and we sat down and we talked, and it was the same game that we did have over at the symposium. Just in thinking about it, and then when I talked to Dr. Randall, we sat down and we had a lengthy conversation about it, and we was wondering how this game was how it was gonna be and how it was gonna teach our children, our grandchildren. We are during the COVID, we did lose a lot of speakers. We lost tons. I mean, our language is it's sad to say, but it's dying. It's going away. It's just anything that we can do to teach our kids, our grandkids, the Muskogee language. I mean, we do everything that we can now, but as Dr. Randall said, we need something more in these kids. We're in a new generation now. We weren't back then. We had our grandmas and our grandpas and our dad and our mothers that spoke, and we stayed at the home and learned the language. That's how most of us learned. But now we don't have that. We don't have anything like that anymore. And so with the new generation coming up, they are into the games. They are into the phones. I mean, you see them all the time. And and some of us in the homes don't have language speakers there to teach our grandkids or our kids. So if there's anything that we can do to help them to keep our language going, I think it's going to help. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot of money, but if we don't spend this if we don't support the our language, then what are we going to do with it then? So I just wanted to thank the committee for looking at this and considering this. And we need to save our language. We always say that during our campaign out there. We always talk about language, cultural stuff like that. You know, that's something that we are Muskogee people. We say that we're going to save it. So let's try to save it.
Hello, Representative Cloud. Are there any?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I have a statement that I'd like to make. You know, this is really one of the first things we're doing actually to make an effort to help to revitalize, you know, what's being lost. And I say that, and I have to say it this way too. that some of the things that, when we lost some of our speakers, there were things that were lost there that we'll never get back. And, whatever the percentage is, which is very low, the amount of people that we have now that can speak the language within our tribe, uh, we need to preserve what they have the best way we can. And preservation is not just within this game, but there's going to be other methods. I hope that it's going to be used to preserve, what our people have. But then it's through the utilization of that preservation material that it's going to help our tribe to continue to have this language. And this is just one of the first steps, because there hasn't been a step that's been made at this point. And so, the $3 million again, yes, that's going to go back to, DC or wherever it goes to up there in the Treasury Department if we don't utilize it. And unfortunately, yeah, there is other funds and we can probably get that figured out, or, somebody can bring it to us and we can figure out how we can help our people that do need help. But for the moment, right now, this is one of the identifying markers that helped us to become recognized too. They knew that we had a language. They knew that we were different than, the rest of people here in the United States. And this is, who we are as a people. But unfortunately, that's one of the biggest identifying markers that is starting to go away. And if we want to keep that and I have to say it this way too, because there has to be maintenance of that. And maintenance is just not simply preservation, but maintenance means it's also a part of keeping it in a way to where it can be used to revitalize who we are. And so I think this is even though the number is very large, I think it's very small in comparison to what we're going to be losing. I really do. And so, I do support this. There's always going to be questions because it's something brand new. Things aren't going to be absolutely like everybody would like, but we've got to take a step somewhere. And I think this is the place where we begin.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Harjo. Yes, Representative Marshall.
Call for question.
Call for the vote.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Mary Crawford,
Yes.
Anna Marshall,
No.
Leonard Gouch.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 3 in favor and 1 against.
3 in favor and 1 against. NCA 23-002 is passed.
Just make sure we'll ask him.
Okay, we have a question from the committee. Representative Gouge would like to be a co-sponsor. Does the sponsor agree? Okay. You will be added as sponsor along with Robert Huff, Representative Huff. Okay, moving on, NCA 23-003, a law of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of third-party funds to the Muskogee Creek Nation Department of Health for the operation, goods, and supplies for the Council Oak Hotel. Sponsor Mary Crawford.
Motion for due pass.
We have a motion for a due pass from Representative Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Gouge. It's Huff. Robert was first. Okay, I'm sorry. Representative Huff was first.
Mr.
Discussion, please. Mr. Terry, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, as we've been preparing Council Oak to open the hotel, we're hoping that best case is probably going to be April. We are renovating all of those rooms. We have been tearing out old wallpaper. We found a lot of mold in some of those rooms. We've been remediating all the mold and putting new carpet, new window dressing in there. We put new paint, new flooring. The rooms just look like they're absolutely a brand new room. And I think that we've got the first 10 ready, but we didn't have a budget ready to go when we passed the 23 budget in the cab. So we've got an operation budget. This will come out of third-party funds and be ready for that. So this is an amendment to the budget. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are these rooms located right where the Council Oak Hospital is, the clinic?
I'm sorry?
Are they located in the same building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. As you go into the front lobby there, you take those elevators and it goes straight up to a floor there. And we're building on the third floor will be the patient hotel rooms. And so we're going to try to start, I believe, with an initial 50 or 30, something like that, rooms. Around 40 hotel rooms is what we'll initially start out with.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Terry from the committee? Are there any questions from council in attendance or online? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mary Crawford,
Yes.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouch,
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. NCA 23-003 is passed. NCA 23-004, a law of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security FY 2021 Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Grant for the benefit of the Emergency Management Department. Sponsor Mary Crawford.
Motion for due pass.
We have a motion for due pass from Representative Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Marshall. Discussion.
Afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon,
So
Mr. Bobby.
what this is, this first portion of the $1.5 million that the nation will receive from FEMA to put in the 250 storm shelters for citizens across the nation. This first phase will allow me to hire the individual that will be the project manager and start all the documentation so that we can put the application out for our citizens so that we can start the process of phase 2 by the middle of the year with all the other projects that I have going.
Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. Are there questions from the committee? Any questions?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Representative Gouch.
What would be some of the criteria to qualify for these shelters?
Elders will be first, disabilities, number of in the home. Do you own a home? Because by the FEMA rules, we can't, if you're paying to buy one of our homes, that's fine. But like if you're renting an apartment or a condo or something like that, we can't, we won't be allowed to put one there. So it'll be for homeowners or people that are buying their own homes. And we're going to do the above ground, mainly because of the criteria of disabilities and our elders. Have you ever tried to get an elder down into a shelter 6 feet underground? It's not good, especially when I have to go and get them out when we've had an event. It's even worse. We cause more injury to them getting them out than they did going in. So we'll do the above ground. We can build more. It'll also relieve some of the EPA requirements on the nation. We'll either put them in the garages or within 25 feet of the home, which FEMA and the EPA have agreed that within 30 feet of any home, ground disturbance has already been met within 1 foot. So the pad that they will receive is 18 inches, a foot below ground, 6 inches above, and in the steel shelter. So it's not going anywhere very, very quickly or very, very far.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there other questions from the committee?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Representative Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Howard, whenever you do the 250 storm shelters, are you going to be designating so many per district, or is it just going to be first come, first served?
Well, all the applications will come in, they'll be scored, and we'll go right down from top to the bottom, no matter which district they're in. Okay. So those that meet the highest points on the criteria, they'll go first.
Okay. Okay.
So let's say you're an elder, disabled, and a veteran. you're probably going to be in the first 50 that get done.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Marshall. Are there any other questions from the committee?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Representative Crawford.
Mr. Howard, and when will they be starting to accept applications?
So once I hire the individual to be the project manager, we'll outline all the documents that we turned into FEMA. So I would say probably around the 1st of March.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think we're going to put it on the Camp House portal. I have to get with those folks. That's kind of why it's 1 March is the target date, because interfacing with the portal, there's some requirements that you have to meet to get your documents loaded and how things have to be laid out.
Thank you, Representative Crawford. Are there questions from council in attendance or online? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mary Crawford,
Yes.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouge,
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. NCA 23-004 is passed. NCA 23-005, a law of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of grant funds awarded from the National Indian Health Board for the benefit of the Eufaula Dormitory. Sponsor, Representative Crawford.
Motion for due pass.
We have a motion for due pass from Representative Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Representative Marshall. Discussion, please.
Ms. Harjo, would you like to speak on this?
This expenditure for this grant fund is to benefit the Eufaula Dorm. We received this grant out of 40 other tribes that applied. This will allow for us to renovate 2 isolation rooms at the dorm that we can house students instead of having to send them home sick, so that way they can still communicate and complete their academics. But then it also allows for our students at the dormitory to create marketing materials to promote vaccination, hand washing, and mask wearing, and those posters and signs will be distributed throughout the dorm, Eufaula Public Schools, and throughout the nation. I think this I think it's around 11,400, somewhere in there. We'll be able to put in some air purifiers. It's helping us with the HVAC as well within the isolation room. So as you know, there's a lot of upkeep and a lot of remodeling that needs to be done at the dorm, and this helps us supplement that cost as well. So that's what this is going to be used for.
Thank you, Ms. Harjo. Are there questions from the committee? Are there questions from council in attendance or online? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mary Crawford,
Yes.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouge,
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. NCA 23-005 is passed. NCA 23-006, a law of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of grant funds awarded from the United States Department of Agriculture for the benefit of the Food Distribution Program. Sponsor, Mary Crawford.
Motion for due pass.
We have a motion for a due pass from Representative Crawford. Is there a second? Second from Representative Huft. Discussion, please.
Anna, is that green light on? That green light, is it on?
Can you hear me now? This is a match for a grant that we received from USDA for nutrition education materials, information, things of that sort.
Are there questions for Ms. Sterner from the committee? Are there questions from council in attendance or online? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mary Crawford,
Yes.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouch,
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. NCA 23-006 is passed. We're down to G, other business. An update on the health systems by Secretary of Health, Mr. Sean
Madam Chair.
Terry.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Yes, we have a motion to go into executive session by Representative Huff. Is there a second? And a second by Representative Gouch. Mr. Terry, are there certain individuals you would like to stay, just the council or just the committee?
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
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 The next order of business is announcements. Are there any announcements from the committee? Hearing none. I will entertain a motion to adjourn with a benediction, which will serve as our adjournment from Representative Crawford.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion from Representative Gouch to
Second.
adjourn with a second from Representative Huft. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. We are adjourned, and we will have the benediction from Representative Crawford. If you will stand if you're able.
Dear Jesus, I just thank you for allowing us to come together to conduct business for our nation. I pray that you watch over each and every one of us as we depart and go our separate ways. And I ask this in your most precious name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. But we are adjourned at 3:36 p.m.